My name is John Kim, and welcome to Wellness and Wellbeing in Real Life. I'm your host. I'm John Kim. I am a queer personal trainer and mindfulness coach, and I am here to help you live a healthier, happier, and more fulfilling life. I'm going to teach you some insights and practical tips on ways that you can be more mindful, confident, strong, and resilient in your own life. So make sure you stay tuned, follow along, and let's get to it. In today's episode, I'm going to be going over some heavy topics on body image issues, briefly talking about the differences between body dysmorphia, muscle dysmorphia, and gender dysphoria. I'm also going to be covering shame, self-esteem, and hating your body, and how this affects people in the LGBTQ plus community. I'm also going to talk about changing your mindset on how you view your body, your own worth, your beauty, and the journey that we all are on so that we can create a healthier, happier, and more fulfilling life that is true and authentic to our own selves. So before we dive in, I want to do this exercise with you. And I invite you to pause the episode, take a moment to reflect, and if you're by a computer or a notepad, write down your response. Here we go. Your best friend has been dealing with some body image issues as of late. You hate seeing them like this. They've been really going through a lot with work, and they're just trying to do their best. But you can tell something's off. And as of recent, they've been stressing with how they look. And it's becoming harder for them to go out without feeling shameful about their body. So you do what every bestie would do. And you ask them what's going on. And you give them a hug and you say, pause this, reflect on what you wrote, and I want you to keep your response in mind for the rest of the episode. Now, let's dive into episode 2. Let's talk body. The reason why I started with that exercise is because we're all going through our own set of problems in life. I want you to have the same compassion and kindness that you would give to a best friend, or think of your younger self. And as RuPaul famously said, if you can't love yourself, how in the hell can you love someone else? Because you are beautiful, you're unique, and you are worthy of all the happiness and joy of the world. Don't let your own thoughts, social media, or anyone else tell you otherwise. Without further ado, for the final time, let's dive in. We are talking about sensitive subjects on mental, emotional, and physical well-being and health. A trigger warning for those who have experienced body, muscle dysmorphia, and gender dysphoria. A reminder to always seek out professional help and resources either in your hometown or city or online through chats or hotlines. A disclaimer that the information provided is designed for educational and informational purposes only. So let's break it down. When I was doing research into body dysmorphia, I wanted to talk about it so that we could have meaningful conversation within the community. I didn't want to solely talk about one experience. When I was researching and listening to other podcasts of what other creators, coaches, and therapists are talking about in terms of body image, there's a lot on women and there is a lot about bodybuilders for muscle dysmorphia. Now, this leaves a big gap for a couple of groups of people. For gay men, for men in general, which is a bigger problem that exists, and how that stems from toxic masculinity in the straight world, and how that ends up into gay culture and gay toxic masculinity. I also want to talk about the trans and gender nonconforming experience for body dysmorphia and how that intersects with gender dysphoria and how the two are not mutually exclusive, but the two can occur in a trans and gender nonconforming person. I want to start with body dysmorphia first. I'm going to read you some interesting facts and quotes that I found doing my research for body dysmorphia, muscle dysmorphia, and gender dysphoria. And I'll have all the links for all these references in my show notes and on my YouTube channel. You can look this stuff up on your own and you can have discussions within your friend groups or your own communities and find ways to solve this problem. Let's start with body dysmorphia. What is it? It's an eating disorder that causes individuals suffering to worry about and have a preoccupation with a perceived flaw in their outer appearance. There is deep shame about one's body and self, and it's a distortion of themselves. I'm going to read to you a quote by Anne Sophie Reinhardt, and the way she describes it is spot on. And from someone who also has experienced body dysmorphia, I want to talk a little bit about my experience, but I don't want my experience to take up the whole episode. When I look in the mirror, I didn't see my body for what it was. All I saw was whether I had controlled myself enough or whether I had failed. It wasn't about my body, it was all about my mind. So, in order to please my mind, I abused my body in ways that are beyond comprehension. Yet, as I started to heal my mind, I started to heal my body as well. And today I can look in the mirror, appreciate what I see, and even feel the love for the body that is uniquely mine. I now understand that my body is a part of me. It is my temple. No other person in the world has my exact shape. It was, is, and will forever only be mine. I am unique, and I am built exactly the way that I'm supposed to be. Anne Sophie Reinhardt. From someone who's experienced body dysmorphia, she breaks it down into three parts. The part where she hated her body and realized that it wasn't the body that was the problem, it was her mind and how she viewed her body. I love when she said, as I started to heal my mind, I started to heal my body as well. And today I can look in the mirror, appreciate what I see, and even feel love for the body that is uniquely mine. I think it's really powerful to speak of the healing and the growth that occurs in this experience. Even though it sounds like night and day, that journey of healing can take a long time. For queer people who may not have fit in growing up or didn't have the perfect body, or even as an adult, don't have the perfect body. And as a gay man, when I first came out, I never felt that my body was good enough or I fit the stereotype. I was over 220 pounds. I was big, I was thick, Asian, and in DC, there aren't many people like me back then in 2018. And I felt invisible. And I thought that was because of my physical traits. And so I worked my ass off to change that. And as a personal trainer and someone who's been doing this for so long, I got caught up in my own body image issues that led to me fixating on working out like crazy. I would meal prep and restrict my calories. There was always so much shame in eating and binging, and I never felt comfortable in my body. It really wasn't until the past 2 years where I really started to feel comfortable in my own skin. And it's been about a 3-year journey of trying to dismantle all the beliefs and all the crap of diets, of working out like crazy, of torturing your body, to unlearning a lifetime of behaviors to feel comfortable in your own skin and being okay with eating pizza or being okay with eating a burger or fries or ice cream. Even though I love all that stuff, when I would eat it, I would have so much shame and I felt terrible about myself. And in order to feel better, I would work out intensely to burn it off. But that would just create this vicious cycle of feeling guilty and the shame and feeling bad, like I was doing something wrong and it was me that was the problem. And to fix that problem, I had to go and work out for 2 hours, cleanse my body to get back on track. And today, it's been a huge growing moment for me personally. It's also tied in with being non-binary and gender non-conforming and being able to create my own path, not as a gay man anymore, but as a queer non-binary person, has allowed me to feel comfortable in my own skin because I wasn't conforming into societal norms. And even though we are a part of the LGBTQ plus community, which gets rid of the binary, that binary still exists. Like in DC, it exists as cis gay men who like to wear J. Crew shorts and a polo. And I never fit that mold. And trying to, though, when I first came out, and trying to fit standards of gay culture, of having a perfect body, and ultimately being white. I mean, those were things I could never achieve. And even today, I can't achieve. But when I first came out, when I felt invisible, I thought if I worked my ass off, if I ate really clean, I could change that. I think my body dysmorphia was also rooted in my job as a personal trainer. People see me and they see my body and they say, okay, well, are they a good trainer or not based off how they look? When I first started working, I was a little bit bigger. When I finished school, I was 260 pounds. I lost a lot of that. I am now 210 pounds. But at the beginning, I didn't feel like I fit into that mold. The shirts that we had to wear were super tight and form-fitting to my body. And when you're 260 pounds, I didn't feel comfortable in that. I had such bad self-esteem issues about my own body and my self-worth and my physical attractiveness from many different identities of my work, from being gay, from trying to fit in. It really messed with me. It really wasn't until I think like till I was like 25, till actually a coworker shared her story about body dysmorphia and her body image issues, till I looked it up and realized like, oh, you got a problem and you gotta work on this. And since then, it's been a journey of trying to be more compassionate to myself. And one way I try to emulate that is how I'm compassionate to my clients and how I care for my clients. The things that I would say to myself are things I would never ever say to a client, because my goal with every client is to meet them where they are and help them and let them know that it's okay to fail and show them that failure is just feedback. And it's how we pick ourselves up from that failure, and how we grow from that is how we change. Those lessons that I was teaching my clients, I didn't take that in for myself. So in the past 3 years, it's really been trying to unlearn those unhealthy thoughts and try to find ways to be more compassionate, more loving, and more accepting for myself. And it's been a cool journey, and it's never over, but it's helped me grow and helped me become a much bigger and better person. So I want to next talk about muscle dysmorphia. Muscle dysmorphia is a subtype of body dysmorphia. It's a pathological preoccupation with one's degree of muscularity that involves distress and fear over the idea that one's body is too small or not sufficiently muscular. It's the pursuit of extreme muscularity via rigid and obsessive behaviors that can have serious health consequences and impair psychosocial functioning. Some symptoms associated can be anxiety, depression, perfectionism, neuroticism, lower self-esteem, suicide, and substance abuse problems. I see this in the gay community a lot on online, on Reddit, bars, at clubs, of not fitting into the stereotype of having a perfect body. For everyone that doesn't fit that six-pack body, where do you fit in the gay community? According to the National Eating Disorders Association, among men who have eating disorders, 42% of them identify as gay. In addition to facing eating disorders, gay men have lower self-esteem related to their bodies and greater concerns for physical attractiveness compared to straight men. And gay men experience appearance-related objectification. And I mean, this is very real. We see this all the time at parties, like circuit parties. It's all about objectification. And when you see the posters for these or anything gay, or you watch RuPaul, the pit crew, they're in jockstraps, they have perfect bodies. That is the standard. Even if it isn't, it is perceived as the standard that you have to have a perfect body. You have to have beautiful face and chiseled abs and a big butt, and those are what is perceived it as it is because it is gay culture. This problem exists for everyone, and the people who have these perfect bodies also have this problem, muscle dysmorphia, that they might not look perfect, or they might get so caught up in being objectified that having a perfect body is your identity. What happens when you get older? What happens when you gain a little bit of weight? Then you get so fixated on having to fix yourself so that you work out more, you focus on your meals more, you fixate on these parts of your life. And there's the pressure to achieve a certain body shape compared to straight men. A study found that men diagnosed with muscle dysmorphia may experience greater muscle dysmorphia or body dysmorphic symptoms and an endorsement of some components of traditional masculine norms compared to men diagnosed with body dysmorphic disorder. I think that's really interesting to break into like toxic masculinity and how it is involved in gay culture, because if we as gay men get to say no to societal norms of what being a man is, right? We can hook up with other men. We are going away from that toxic masculinity. But toxic masculinity still is rampant in our community and in our spaces and online. Writer Jeffrey Yovanin wrote an article titled, "We Need to Talk About Toxic Gay Masculinity." And he writes, if toxic masculinity as a whole is based primarily on the domination of women, then gay toxic masculinity is based on stigmatizing and subjugating femmes, queer men of color, and trans men via body norms, racism, and transphobia. You see this on social media of gay men wanting to be called gay, not queer, that they don't want to hook up with trans men, or you see the racism, the blatant racism, and the body norms on dating and hookup apps like Grindr and Scruff, where it's no fats, no femmes, no Asians, no blacks. There's a certain type that many cis white gays like, and it's people who hold different identities like me, or it's not a trans person, because we don't fit into those norms. We fall out of that one category or the one identity, and it's being cis gay man. The rampant issue of gay toxic masculinity in the community is so bad. It hurts so many people, and especially for LGBTQ folks who might have troubles at home with their family for being gay, come out and turn to the community for support, or turn to hookups apps to find friends or to talk and make conversation. I mean, I used to do that. And when you are met with, sorry, you're fat, or you're Asian, or you get blocked, or you get ignored, then you think the problem is you. And then your perception as a new gay person is just rooted in hate. And it's sad because so many people then go on to believe that the whole community is bad and terrible, and that there isn't a place for them to exist and grow and find community and friends and chosen family, because the gay toxic masculinity And so it needs to stop. And we need to have conversations about this on how do we end this problem? Because why does toxic masculinity of like misogyny and the domination of women, why does that exist in gay culture? Like you came out because you do not fit societal norms. So why are you placing more societal norms within a community that rejects societal norms? It doesn't make sense to me. And it really goes to show cis gay men, predominantly white, who haven't healed and who are projecting their own insecurities, fears, and toxic masculinity onto other people. And other people in the community don't deserve that as well. Being queer, being non binary, being Asian, I hold many identities that don't fit that the cis white gay trope. And I have a unique position because I'm very different. And it's taken me a long time to get to where I am to be comfortable in my own skin. Now, 5 years ago, the same guys that are now trying to talk to me ignored me. And because I was fat, that's it, really. Nothing else changed. I was still fun. It was still me. I just had a different body. But when people then treat me differently now, I remember and I will ignore them. Like, no, why should I give you an ounce of anything, not even an ounce of sweat, if you do not care about queer people, queer people of color, trans men, trans women, other people in our community? It really angers me when I'm at a gay space and lesbian and friends, bisexual friends are there, and gay men just give the dirtiest looks to them or will literally say out loud, like, why are you in our space? Gay men think they're at the top of the food chain, which I don't think they are. And they expect to be because of the identities of being a white gay man in the United States. You have the luxury to basically hide who you are because you can pass as cis, and in your workplace, in your friend groups or your social lives, like you can pass, and by passing, you get to live a luxury of a life that trans people of color, non binary people, queer people don't get. And that's privilege. And when states and cities are making it harder for trans people to even exist, it's really sad because trans people of color are the ones that got us to where we are today. And now that cis gay men can live happily ever after and marry who they want, other people in the community don't get that chance and may never get that chance. So, enough with the gay men because we could go on. We could have a whole episode on this. Let's talk about gender dysphoria for trans and non binary folks. So, what is it? It's a sense of disconnect between gender identity and one's assigned sex at birth, rooted in the issue and incompatible of identity as opposed to shame. Gender affirming surgery can alleviate this by changing your body. Now, I think this is really important to talk about because trans and gender nonconforming people can experience both body dysmorphia and gender dysphoria. But the struggles of trans individuals with eating disorders are twofold. Recovery is often complicated by the internal experience of being trans, and it is made more difficult due to the lack of access and supportive communities. For trans and non binary folks, they can simultaneously experience both, but they're not mutually exclusive. A trans individual can overcome body dysmorphia, but still have gender dysphoria. And cis-normative body ideals and beauty standards are idolized, and the pressure to pass as cisgender can be destructive to those who already hold negative feelings towards themselves and their bodies. Trans people can also face high risks of poverty and homelessness and lack support from their family. So, affording treatment and having to pay for that on their own can be expensive. Hormonal treatment is also expensive. And before we move on, I want to talk about two more topics: shame and self esteem. Let's start with self esteem. When we think of self esteem, we are our own worst critic. And for LGBTQ plus people, rejection from your family can have ongoing effects on your health and mental health. It also makes it harder for people to turn for help who feel more isolated and they have less support. It can lead to trouble in the future. Low self esteem is actually a disposition that can lead to addiction, turning to drugs, alcohol to compensate for temporary fixes that can ultimately lead to lifelong repercussions. When we talk about shame, shame is hating who you are, and shame breeds shame. It makes you think that there is something wrong with you or your body. When you're shameful of something, you think something is wrong with you. And if you wallow in that suffering, and if you do it for long enough, you're going to believe that something's wrong with you. And that's where body dysmorphia really comes from, is that you hate who you are, and your actions will align with however you feel about yourself. You'll never heal. If you shame a part of yourself, you're telling yourself that you hate that part of you, and nothing that you can do will make it better if it doesn't fit what your mind thinks is perfect. Think about if you are yelling at someone for doing something wrong, you're shaming them. And that person will forever believe that something is wrong with them because of that one incident, or if it continues, right? Because you are shaming them or you're yelling at them for doing something wrong. And when you believe that, right, if someone's yelling at you and you believe that you are wrong, you're going to believe that. And then that becomes a part of your identity. And that part of your body that you hate, or when someone yells at you for doing something wrong, you think you're a bad person. But are you a bad person? No, you're not. And same with how you see yourself and how your mind sees your body or what thinks it's perfect. Perfectionism is a problem. Being perfect is an unrealistic body standard. It's an unrealistic standard in general. When we think of shame, you have to be compassionate and kinder to yourself. You have to show up for yourself. And you have to acknowledge your shame, and you have to set expectations for yourself, and you have to find ways to get out of that. And if that is finding a routine again, if that is setting non-negotiables for yourself, of going outside, of feeling worthy of doing things that make you feel good. If that is going for a walk every day, if that's going to the gym every other day, if that is going out to hang with a friend every weekend, you need to make that a part of your lifestyle and your routine. If that is going to help you start to change your mindset on your body, because if you don't, you'll never heal and you will stay in this distorted view of your life and your body and yourself. And you don't deserve that. Nobody deserves that. You deserve happiness, and you deserve to grow and to live and to make mistakes and to love your body and to believe in yourself. And that is all the opposites of shame. You deserve to build confidence and trust back into your life so that you are confident in your body. You're confident in yourself. You trust yourself. And sometimes that means detaching your body from your worth. I think it's important concept to think about, because when people judge you based off your body, you take that to heart, and that turns into a flaw, and that flaw can grow. And whether you work out or you work on your diet or whatever you do, no matter how hard you try, if you can't fix that flaw, your self-esteem is going to drop, because you have believed that your body is now connected to your worth. Detaching your body from your worth is really important, and knowing that you are worth everything. Your body is just a vessel that allows you to feel good, and that isn't rooted in how you look. And at the root of it, it's really just accepting who you are, everything you are. And as you get older, as your body changes, you have to accept yourself 100% for the ups and downs, because even in a normal day, your body weight fluctuates so much depending on the light that you're in or the angle that you take a picture. Your body's going to look different. When you compare on social media, on Twitter, on Instagram, on TikTok, there are gay men who work out and model for a living. For most people, that is not the case. So comparing yourself to other people is only gonna create more issues down the road for you, because you're trying to compare yourself to something that is unrealistic. So if you need to, take a social media detox, because that can be the most healthy thing for you. Or unfollowing all the people that make you feel shameful of your body or yourself. I want to talk about body neutrality, because I think this is really a great the the body neutrality movement is a great movement for people who have experienced body dysmorphia and are trying to find a path forwards or trying to heal. The body positivity movement is exists, but it's centered around loving your body unconditionally. But in reality, like, there are days where I don't necessarily love my body 100%. And so body neutrality encourages the idea of accepting your body as it is right now, and taking a more neutral stance towards your body. In essence, you don't have to love your body every day, and that's okay. You can still appreciate your body, but you don't have to cultivate love for your body or feel that you have to love it at every single moment. Body neutrality is also connected to mindfulness, in that you can focus on caring for it and getting adequate nutrition and not depriving yourself of anything, resting and moving your body in ways that you enjoy it. Many people find that they can listen to their body better, and knowing what the body needs with body neutrality. And in all, body neutrality focuses on a lack of attachment to how your body looks and discourages spending time thinking about your physical appearance. So, we were talking earlier about shame and how we have to disconnect our body from how it looks. Because if we connect that too much and we fixate on that, then we think that there are problems of our body, and that is a problem that we can't fix. So, it's a good way to think about, or a direction to think about, how to appreciate your body and love it in ways that isn't compulsive on one end of the spectrum, or the complete opposite on the other end of the spectrum. So, how do we grow and how do we change? Fixing our mindset, rejecting the cis-normative body and beauty standards as the ideal. We as queer people don't have to follow these standards. We aren't straight. We aren't cis body. We are queer. We are different. And we are allowed to live and be whoever we want to be. You don't have to follow the norms. Please don't. Reject them in every aspect. And fixing your fixed mindset to a growth mindset. This is thinking how something goes and thinking that this is the only way. Or when we're faced with adversity, that we are unable to grow and change from it if we have a fixed mindset. When we have a growth mindset, we're able to think differently and face challenges in different capacities so that we can grow and learn from this moment. And it may be one aspect where you start your growth mindset journey, and that can lead into many different aspects of your life. Like for me, for fitness, as a personal trainer, these are the standards. This is how you get fit. But working with so many clients and even myself in the past decade, there are many ways to go about it. And having a growth mindset to believe and trust in yourself is so important because if you trust in yourself, you're able to see that there are many ways to get to point A to point B. And if you have that right mindset behind it, you can do anything. Number three, falling back in love with yourself and your body. Realizing your body is on your side. Our bodies take on a lot physically, emotionally, mentally. We torture our bodies and they are resilient and they fight back. Our bodies are beautiful and unique, so we must love and take care of them because if we don't take care of them, then our bodies will not work with us. Practicing love and kindness is really important. It doesn't have to be worshiping yourself, but just looking at yourself and appreciating your body and saying, I have a beautiful body. My body is unique. Nobody else has it. I love my body. I am grateful for the function that it does. And becoming aware of your body. Yes, our body allows us to lift, move, and do things. But there's so much more that our body does that we don't even know at the cellular level. And a really great way to becoming aware of your body and sensations is meditation and connecting with your breath. Because when you're able to connect with your inner self, you're able to tune into many of the senses that your body is telling you. Your body senses out many signals, whether it's in distress or when your body feels good. You just have to listen to them and know what to listen for. And to finish off, the Mindful Queer's top tips: do a social media audit. Are there accounts that make you feel bad about yourself? Do the vibes not match? Then it's time to say goodbye. Put sticky notes on your mirror, some affirmations that you are beautiful and you are loved. Change your goals up. This is a really important one. This is something I usually work with a lot of clients is instead of focusing on the objective goals like numbers based, focus on the subjective goals. So like focus on feelings or having more energy or feeling good when I wake up. Like focus on those types of things. And lastly, it's okay to make mistakes. Unlearning a lifetime of unhealthy behaviors takes a lot of work and practice and guidance and outside help from their friends, family, with a therapist. So be mindful of the progress, never perfection. And you can do this. Believe in yourself. And lastly, being more compassionate to yourself. See, self compassion is rooted in kindness, common humanity, and mindfulness, and being present and caring for one another, knowing that we are all connected. The ideas behind that allows us to build our self esteem and allows us to build some compassion into our lives, knowing that not everything is pitted against us and that we're actually closer together than farther apart. Thanks for listening to this week's episode. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a review and a 5-star rating so that you'll get a notification every other Wednesday when the episodes come out. I'll see you in a couple of weeks, and in the meantime, make sure you're connecting with me on social media. On Instagram, I'm at mindfulqueer. On TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube, I'm at the mindful queer. Tag me, send a DM, share with what connected with you the most, and let me know what you want to hear from me next. This is Wellness and Wellbeing in Real Life, signing out.